Stop for a moment. Hold your breath. Don't move. Listen carefully, because something is happening to you right now, in this very second, beneath your awareness, beneath your defenses, beneath the layers of noise that surround your life. It is as if a curtain is being pulled back inside your spirit, revealing a truth you were never meant to ignore, but could no longer escape. There is a shift pressing against your chest, a weight in the air that feels like it belongs to another realm. And as it settles over you, your heart recognizes it before your mind does. This moment is not ordinary. This message is not casual. Something ancient, something divine, something written into your existence long before you took your first breath is reaching for you now, and it refuses to be dismissed. You can feel it. Your skin tightens, your pulse sharpens, and something in you whispers that what you hear next will alter the direction of your life. This is the moment your spirit wakes up to what has been approaching you quietly, step by step, through the unseen corridors of your destiny. And now that it has arrived, you cannot treat it lightly. You cannot shrug it off. You cannot pretend you didn't feel this sudden tightening in your chest or the echo inside your bones. This is a spiritual interception, a final moment of clarity, a divine confrontation with who you were, who you are, and who you were always meant to become. Before I continue, write your warmest wishes in the comments and place 777 beside them as your activation code, because this moment opens something that cannot be opened again. Pour it out with sincerity, as if heaven is watching, because it is. And after you write your wish and seal it with 777, you will like this video, and you will subscribe, not as a routine action, but as an act of alignment, a step of obedience, a mark of readiness. This is the moment you step into the gravity of what is being revealed to you, the moment you acknowledge that you feel the weight of what is pressing on your spirit. You have felt the tremors in your life, the signs that something is approaching, the quiet warnings that have circled your days. You already know this message carries something urgent, something final, something you cannot ignore. So write your wish, seal it, align yourself, and obey. Do it now. Something deep inside you has already sensed that the atmosphere around your life has been shifting. Your dreams have been more vivid, your emotions more intense, your intuition more alarming. Your spirit has been trying to tell you that your timeline has reached a threshold, a point of no return, a spiritual crossroads where decisions echo louder than words, and silence becomes its own answer. You have felt the pull without understanding it, the restlessness without explanation, the heaviness that arrives even on days when everything looks normal on the surface. That is because the unseen realm has been moving around you, rearranging your path, repositioning you for a moment of revelation. There are angels standing around the edges of your life, watching, waiting, observing the inner conflict between who you were and who you are becoming. They have been recording your responses, measuring the alignment of your heart, scanning your intentions the way divine beings analyze the frequencies of a soul. And now they are drawing closer, because the message reaching you right now is not soft, not gentle, not optional. It carries the density of consequence. It carries the weight of destiny. It carries the urgency of something that cannot be delayed again. You may not realize it, but your spiritual biology has been undergoing changes. Your cellular memory has been vibrating strangely. Your emotional reactions have been stronger. Your energy has been unpredictable. This is because divine frequencies have been colliding with your natural body, initiating shifts you didn't consciously choose. What you feel is not anxiety. It is activation. It is your spirit being rewired so it can carry revelations you were not ready for in the past. It is the awakening of Eden memory, the original blueprint encoded into your DNA before life distorted your identity. When heaven sees that a soul has reached the moment where transformation must happen, it sends signals through the body: pressure, restlessness, sudden clarity, unusual fatigue, sudden bursts of intuition, tools that prepare you for alignment. You are experiencing these things because you have reached the edge of an old timeline, and heaven refuses to let you drift backward. You've noticed that certain people in your life have started acting strangely. Some have grown cold, distant, agitated, or inexplicably irritated by your presence. Others have become more curious about you, watching you in ways that feel intrusive or unsettling. This is not coincidence. When a person's spiritual frequency rises, the unseen world reacts, both the light and the dark. Hidden enemies sense your elevation long before you recognize it yourself. They sniff out the shift the way predators react to sudden movement in the dark. They can feel the strengthening of your spiritual walls, the sharpening of your intuition, the rising light inside you. And they panic. That panic makes them lash out. It makes them whisper. It makes them turn against you even when you've done nothing wrong. Their reactions reveal their spiritual identity. The ones who tighten around you are for you. The ones who rage, who become jealous, who pull away, who suddenly misunderstand you, they are exposing themselves without realizing heaven is using them as markers, as signs. There are things you've survived this year that should have broken you. You walked through emotional storms that left cracks in your soul. You faced situations where you felt abandoned, misunderstood, or spiritually attacked. Yet somehow you remained standing. Somehow your heart did not collapse. Somehow your mind held on. That somehow was divine intervention. Angels have been performing quiet surgeries on your spirit while you slept, stitching wounds that would have poisoned your future. You were not abandoned. You were being guarded, repaired, watched over without knowing it. The very thing that tried to destroy you was used as a tool to strengthen your spiritual infrastructure. What tried to break you actually built you. What tried to contaminate your spirit purified it instead. You are not the same person you were months ago, and heaven needs you to understand that. You are being elevated into a new spiritual frequency, where discernment is sharper, intuition is louder, and truth hits you faster. The people around you may not understand this new version of you, but heaven does. You are not meant to dim yourself to make others comfortable. You are meant to step fully into the identity that has been waiting to emerge from the deepest part of your being. And now that the shift has begun, there is no turning back. The air around you feels different right now, as if something unseen has entered the room and is standing just behind your shoulder, watching the way your spirit reacts to this moment. You may not be able to explain it, but there is a cinematic stillness settling over your life, a silence that feels purposeful, almost holy, like the pause before a prophecy unfolds. It feels like being pulled into a slow-motion scene where the world blurs around you and only one thing remains sharp: the truth you've been avoiding. Your breath changes, your awareness heightens, and your heart begins to anticipate something it does not yet fully understand. This moment has been approaching you quietly through dreams, signs, strange coincidences, and the persistent feeling that something in your life has been out of alignment. But now the veil is thinner. The noise around you has faded, and heaven is speaking straight into your spirit with a clarity you can no longer ignore. You are being pulled into a revelation, and everything inside you knows this is not random, not accidental, not coincidence. This is divine timing, rising like a tide. This is alignment reaching its peak. This is the moment where heaven interrupts your timeline. You've probably noticed that recent days have felt heavier than usual. Not always painful, just heavy, dense, spiritually charged. This is because your emotional energy has been recalibrating. Your cells have been absorbing information from the unseen realm. Your dreams have been trying to send messages your waking mind wasn't ready to receive. Angels have been moving quietly around your life, adjusting your path behind the scenes, repositioning you in ways you won't fully understand until later. You have felt waves of clarity and confusion at the same time, moments where the truth felt close enough to touch, but then slipped away again. This tension is not destructive. It is refining you. It is stretching your spiritual sensitivity, strengthening your discernment, preparing you to handle what heaven is trying to place in your hands. Some people around you have already noticed the changes. They can feel your frequency rising, even if they cannot explain it. Some draw closer to your light, others recoil from it. But the spiritual effect remains the same. Your presence no longer blends in. Your destiny refuses to remain hidden. You've been wondering why your emotions have been unpredictable lately, why small things hit you harder than expected, why certain memories resurface, why old pain comes back in waves, why your spirit feels full one moment and hollow the next. This is the process of divine rewiring. Heaven has been reconstructing your interior world, pulling out old roots, removing spiritual toxins, exposing lies you believed about yourself, and repairing fractures in your identity. Some of the pressure you've felt has been the pressure of spiritual surgery, angels working in deeper places of your soul that you do not have access to consciously. You are being prepared for clarity, for strength, for revelation, and for alignment. The transformation is happening at the cellular level, at the level where destiny is written into the human spirit. Your Eden memory, the original coding of who you were before life wounded you, is awakening. That is why certain things from the past no longer feel right, why old environments feel strange, why familiar people suddenly feel foreign. You are shedding timelines that no longer match the version of yourself that heaven is creating. Some of your recent pain has had nothing to do with earthly events. It came from the spiritual tension of being pushed out of old seasons. When heaven begins to close a chapter, you feel it emotionally before you see it physically. That heaviness, that disappointment, that sudden sense of misalignment, it was not failure. It was redirection. It was heaven pulling you away from what could not follow you into your next spiritual level. You were not being abandoned. You were being extracted. Your soul was being rescued from timelines that would have drained you. There were people who could not stay attached to your journey because their intentions were not pure enough to handle the light that is now rising in you. Their exit was a blessing disguised as confusion. Heaven knew what you needed even when you didn't understand why certain things collapsed. There are warnings heaven has whispered to you in small ways, subtle shifts, quiet discomforts, intuitive alarms that buzzed in your chest. You brushed some of them off, thinking they were just nerves or stress. But they were signals, spiritual indicators that the environment around you was becoming unstable. You were being guided away from dangers you couldn't see, from betrayals that were forming behind your back, from traps that would have altered the trajectory of your destiny. Heaven has been more active in your life than you realize. You survived situations that would have destroyed someone else because you were being carried by unseen hands, protected by forces that do not need recognition to operate. Every close call, every near collapse, every moment when you felt like giving up but somehow didn't, that was intervention. And now the intensity around your life has increased because your timeline has entered a decisive phase. This is when distractions become more aggressive. This is when temptations seem more appealing. This is when old cycles try to resurface. This is when the enemy tries to manipulate people around you to pull you backward. The pressure increases right before elevation. The noise rises right before revelation. The attacks intensify right before breakthrough. Not because you are failing, because you are rising. Your spirit has become too bright to remain unnoticed in the unseen realm. You are being watched closely, not just by angels, but by forces that want to derail the transformation taking place inside you. The friction you feel is evidence of progress. The tension you feel is confirmation that heaven is rearranging the structure of your spirit. You are standing at the edge of an awakening that will reveal why you had to endure the things you endured, why certain doors never opened, why some people walked away, why certain losses had to happen even when they didn't make sense. The answers are coming, not as words, but as understanding, not as theories, but as revelation. You are being elevated to a higher spiritual frequency, a place where your intuition becomes vision, where your discernment becomes clarity, where your spirit becomes stronger than your fear. And though you may not feel ready, heaven knows that you are. The atmosphere around you tightens the moment you step into this final stretch, as if the unseen realm leans in closer, waiting to see what your spirit does with what it is about to receive. You may feel a strange pressure in your chest, a warmth rising along your spine, or a sudden stillness that freezes the noise around you. That is not your imagination. That is the supernatural bending the edges of this moment. This is the cinematic scene where the lights dim, where the world pauses, where time bends, not to frighten you, but to bring your full attention to what is unfolding. Heaven has been guiding you, warning you, shaping you, rearranging you, and pushing you toward a decisive moment in your destiny. And now you have reached it. You have stepped into the closing chapter of an unseen conflict, the last stretch of a silent battle that has been fought around your life without your awareness. Everything that has been stirring within you, the pressure, the uneasiness, the sudden clarity, the spiritual weight, is leading to this revelation. You feel it because your spirit knows what your mind has not yet fully understood. This is a defining moment. This is the point where your next season either opens or closes based on your alignment, your obedience, and your readiness. There have been forces around you trying to distract you from this moment. Old cycles tried to pull you back. Old temptations resurfaced. Old wounds reopened. People from your past suddenly reappeared, as if summoned by something that wanted to delay your rise. But these were not coincidences. They were tests meant to reveal what still had influence over you. The spiritual realm has been watching how you respond to these patterns, how you handle the whispers of doubt, how you navigate the sudden heaviness that tries to sit on your chest at night, how you react when loneliness intensifies, how you interpret the moments when everything feels overwhelming. Every reaction has been recorded. Every choice has been noted. Every step has mattered. Heaven allows certain battles not to break you, but to expose you, to reveal what is still fragile, what is still unhealed, what is still vulnerable to attack. You have been walking through purification by pressure, transformation by tension, elevation through endurance. You have survived things that were never meant to be survived because your spirit refused to collapse. You kept walking even when your strength ran out. You kept believing even when clarity disappeared. You kept pushing forward when you didn't know why you were fighting. That persistence was counted. That perseverance was seen. That faith, small as it felt, was measured and found worthy. This last season of pressure was not punishment. It was preparation. You were being rewired. Your emotional, spiritual, and even physical systems were being rebuilt from the ground up. There were nights when your heart felt heavy, but your thoughts felt strangely clear. That was divine surgery. Heaven working on parts of you you didn't even know were fractured. There were days when you felt drained for no reason, because your body was processing spiritual information it had never carried before. Angels have been performing work on your inner world while you slept, reconstructing your spiritual DNA, activating your Eden memory, aligning you with a frequency your old identity could not handle. You are not who you once were. Something in you has shifted permanently. Heaven has replaced confusion with intuition, fear with sensitivity, pain with purpose, and weakness with awareness. You have awakened, even if you do not yet feel fully awake. And now the veil is being lifted. The truth is stepping forward. Heaven is showing you why certain paths were blocked, why certain people betrayed you, why certain opportunities disappeared, why certain emotions resurfaced, why certain situations collapsed at the exact moment you thought they would stabilize. These were not losses, they were protections. You were being redirected away from timelines that would have drained you. You were being extracted from patterns that would have poisoned you. You were being separated from people whose hearts were not aligned with your destiny. Some individuals were removed because their intentions were made of shadows, not sincerity. Others were pushed out because their spirits could not handle the weight of the calling rising inside you. Heaven will never allow someone to remain in your life if their presence threatens your assignment, your identity, or your spiritual safety. Their exit was not rejection. It was rescue. There is something you need to understand about your journey. Heaven does not give warnings without reason. You have been sensing the urgency for weeks, maybe months, the inner alarm that goes off without explanation, the sudden heaviness when you are surrounded by the wrong energy, the quickening in your spirit when something is not right, the uncomfortable stillness that falls over you when heaven is trying to get your attention. These sensations are not emotional fluctuations. They are signals. Your spiritual senses have sharpened. You can feel danger before it arrives. You can feel deception before it speaks. You can feel misalignment before it becomes visible. This heightened sensitivity is not a burden. It is a weapon. It is divine technology placed inside your spirit to guide you through the next phase of your destiny. Your intuition is no longer intuition. It is revelation. Your awareness is no longer awareness. It is discernment. Your insight is no longer insight. It is prophetic recognition. This transformation did not happen randomly. It happened because your life is stepping into a territory where clarity is not optional. It is required. You may feel like you've been standing still lately, but spiritually, you've been accelerating. Heaven has been pushing you into alignment with the speed of someone who cannot afford delay. Your gifts have been activating faster. Your emotions have been shifting quicker. Your awareness has been expanding sharply. You are stepping into a purpose that does not allow half-heartedness, passivity, or spiritual sleep. You are being positioned for something that requires strength, endurance, clarity, and obedience. You are being prepared for encounters with people who need your light, your words, your presence, your sensitivity. You are being shaped into someone whose existence becomes a warning to darkness and a signal to heaven. You are being built into a vessel that can carry weight without collapsing. And now you stand here, at the threshold of a moment that will define restlessness and the next chapter of your life. There are things happening around you that you cannot see. Conversations about you in the unseen realm. Assignments being prepared, doors being moved, timelines shifting in your favor. Some of the delays you've been experiencing were not because you were unworthy. They were because heaven was rearranging the environment to match the magnitude of what is being placed in your hands. Divine timing is not late. It is precise. And your spirit has reached the moment where precision meets destiny. You must understand this clearly. What happens next in your life depends on how you respond to this moment. Alignment is required. Awareness is required. Strength is required. But above all, obedience is required. You have reached the point where heaven is not suggesting. It is commanding. When the spiritual realm sends a signal this strong, it is because the window is narrow. The timing is sensitive. The consequences are real. You cannot delay. You cannot ignore the weight pressing on your chest. You cannot pretend you do not feel the supernatural intensity rising around your life. This moment carries a spiritual finality. It carries the kind of urgency that only appears when a soul has reached a crossroads that cannot be postponed. You have been guided, protected, warned, and prepared. And now heaven watches to see what you do with what has been revealed. Walk forward with clarity. Walk forward with obedience. Walk forward with the awareness that your life is entering a new spiritual frequency, where nothing remains hidden and nothing remains the same. The unseen realm is waiting for your next step. Make it with intention, with courage, and with the full understanding that this is the moment your destiny begins to take shape in ways it never has before.